It's not the strongest or most intelligent who will survive, but those who can best manage change. There's a quote by Charles Darwin that really nicely summarizes the next few minutes of this story. My name's Monica Davis, and I hail from Vancouver, Canada, and I've worked in the field of experiential event planning for the past 12 years. And all of my work during this time has been contract work. So contracts lasting between 2 weeks to 2 months to 1 year. But because of the nature of my work, I have experienced a lot of change in my settings, and I have learned to embrace and grow through the transition. I've spent a fair amount of time networking, seeking opportunities, understanding what to say no and yes to, and not always knowing what's coming next. Yes, it can be difficult and it can be a struggle, but there are always ways to make the transition smoother, and there are a lot of great things about it as well. And I can share a few of the tips I've picked up along the way. But first, I'll give you a little bit of a landscape of what my career path has, where my career path has taken me, so that you know where these life hacks were derived from. So my contract work started after graduating from high school when I dipped my toe into the world of experiential marketing. I started to go to different festivals and events, conferences and trade shows to promote different products. It was a great job for me after high school, as it allowed me to meet a lot of people, create my own schedule, and do some travel to see a lot of new places. So on average, I was at this point holding 8 to 12 contracts a year, and there were always transitions in between. Sometimes contracts would just fall in my lap, lining up really nicely, and sometimes there would be a few months gap in between, or I would have nothing lined up, in which case I would have to look. Diving a little bit deeper into the field of marketing in 2008 is when I started a number of longer term contracts because the 2010 Olympics were coming to Vancouver. So there were a lot of opportunities that came up, including one opportunity where I was actually on the Olympic torch relay, which was a great opportunity. And doing these longer contracts, I ended up reducing my contract numbers to about 4 to 6 contracts a year. So it helps smooth the transition or lessen the transitions. But after several years of doing these tours and some sports tournaments on the side, I realized that I loved what I was doing, but I also wanted to be doing something with more purpose. I was good at what I did and I loved doing it, but I felt that there was more of a purpose that I could serve and an impact that I could have. What I really did like about the contract work is that there's a chance to reflect in between and set up new goals for myself and redirect myself into new work and new opportunities and where I wanted to go. So during one of these opportunities, I did a little bit of a reassessment, and I decided that I wanted to do similar work to what I was doing, but reroute it or focus it on working in social change or environmental aspects. And that was really important to me. So I started telling my friends about this new work idea that I had to do similar work focused on these fields. And one of my good friends, Heather, ended up coming up to me 2 weeks after I told her about this. And she said, look, I met this woman at a stagette and she does work in this field, and I think that you guys should connect. So we connected, and she ended up leading me to an opportunity in Southeast Asia with the Jump Foundation. And the Jump Foundation is a social enterprise that facilitates transformational experiences through youth and educator programs. And although I had never facilitated before and had very little idea of what I was getting into, I found myself 3 weeks later saying yes to a 3-month contract opportunity to work in Southeast Asia. My time there was invigorating and challenging. I was learning a lot of new skills. But I set my mind into growth mode and tried to stay open to absorbing all the new things that I was learning at rapid pace. It was definitely overwhelming at times, but it was purposeful work, and I could see the awesome transformations in the youth. So it empowered me and inspired me every day. I did have the chance to stay on in Thailand after that work and work full time for the Jump Foundation. However, I really do see Vancouver as my home, and I did want to come back. So I ended up coming back and doing more work in the field of focused on environmental change and social change. I landed a dream job with the David Suzuki Foundation, the environmental not-for-profit in Canada, and I worked on their Blue Dot Tour. After a stint away in Guatemala, right after that, I spent 2 months studying Spanish. At the end of my studies, I started getting nervous about 3 days before I was coming home about what I was going to do and where I was going to go. I had nothing lined up. And lucky for me, the David Suzuki Foundation thought I did great work, and they called me up and said, do you want to do another tour? We have one starting next month. So I was lucky. I jumped back in. I got a tour with them. I did a couple more contracts with the Jump Foundation in between, and then I landed myself a role at TED Talks for almost a year. This past October, November, after my stint with TED Talks, I ended up doing a few more contracts with the Jump Foundation. And after this, I really felt inspired by the youth. I could hear about how I was talking about the Jump Foundation and my work with them, and I wanted to make this a full-time thing. So I ended up jokingly mentioning in conversation with the director that I wanted to start the Jump Foundation in Canada. It was a real intention, but I mentioned it in a joking way, and he jumped at the opportunity. He had wanted to start one up in Canada for a while, and it was the right time, and I have the time and the drive, and so we made it happen. Now at this point, I'm starting up the Jump Hub in Canada, and it's a role that provides me with purposeful work, creating a positive impact for youth, the opportunity for some travel, the challenge and excitement of everyday personal growth. And I plan to grow this Jump Canada Hub into a fully flourishing office. So I've created this position with the help of the Jump team, which is basically my ideal role now. So there's been a lot of work transition. Through the transition, I have learned a lot about myself and the importance to reflect on the experience and not to fall stagnant in my day-to-day routines. But from the stories and through my life transitions, I have 8 life hacks for work transition that I can share with you. The first one is stop comparing. When in transition, this is an easy thing to do, but stop doing it. Society has so many ideas of what's best for us, and we're constantly comparing ourselves to see if we're matching up. What kind of work are you doing compared to your friends? Who makes more money? Who gets more vacation? What style of life are they living? What do your parents and family think about your job? Don't let others sway you from what you want to do. Now, this doesn't mean be selfish. It means be honest with yourself about what makes you happy. Take a moment to step back and analyze. And then reflect. Number 2, take time to look at your past and assess what you've liked in your past work. What you did and didn't like, and how does that tie into the next phase of your life? Be grateful. Appreciate the stage that you're in. There's an adage that if you can't find happiness in your own backyard, you probably never will. I like this so much I actually made Christmas magnets with it one year. If the transition feels tough, it's because you're experiencing growing pains, and those can hurt, but just think that when you look back at this moment, how you'll feel once you reach success. It's the stage that you're in and how tough it is now that's building you up so that your success feels so much more rewarding when you finally achieve it. You need to realize this fact and then let it propel you. Number 4, be helpful to others. When you are looking to find something, when you're looking for something, find a way to give. Counterintuitive perhaps, but if you want something, people want to help good people. I would say do this all the time, but specifically when you want something, look to give something. Give your time, give your talent, give your money, connect with people, and the world will pay you back in karma. Number 5, be present. Live in the moment. Stop dreaming about what should be happening. Stop looking at how things were. Embrace the now, the small things that you do that have compound impact. View the change as an adventure, a new opportunity to shake things up in your life. And start new. Start more improved routines. So number 6 would be resilient. Own your faults and failures. Learn from them and improve because of them. If you're growing through the mistakes, they're not failures, they're hidden stepping stones. Number 7 is trust. Have faith, let go, and trust. Things will happen. If your mind is open to finding the solutions, it's amazing the opportunities you will find in front of you, but you must be patient. Number 8, the final one, is share your story. Tell everyone you can about your dream and what you want. It was Marianne Williamson who stated, "We are not afraid of failure, we are afraid of success. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond all measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us." So these are my life hacks. Apply them as you see fit or not at all. I just thank you for taking the time to share this journey. If you're interested in more personal development tools or hearing more of my stories or touching base about the Jump Foundation, you can write me at monica.davis, monica.davis @jumpfoundation.org. Thanks very much.